what is the thing that you're most excited about for 2024 from a technology perspective as we go into the new year? And then two, we're inundated with news and we're inundated with reports and we're obviously in this business, but what do you think is something that nobody's talking about or not talking about very much? It's just not hit the mainstream yet when it comes to tech.
Wow. Second one.
Big questions, but excitement, because, it's like you're the kid waiting, you're looking under the Christmas tree. What am I excited for? And then what is nobody talking about?
What I'm excited about is to actually see some of the BEAD money from these states come out and see how that gets executed. We all know that some of these past programs have gotten messed up, so I'm hopeful that doesn't happen and that we see the money get out there to the right people for the right projects, using the right technology for the job. I think back to kind of what Zach was saying, right? Like, let's use the right technologies, and then let's get more and more people connected and close the divide. So, I think that's what I'm excited. I'm excited to see how far this can go, and quite frankly, just the scale of the private investment as well. From the big PE firms are now all in the game, and they're all backing different players. So it's like, between private and public, let's start to see that divide close, and let's start to see everybody get connected. I think that's what I'm excited about. So that's more of a money thing than a tech thing, but I'm going to say it's tech. I think the technology that nobody's talking about or doesn't talk about very much that I think is going to be exciting in the not next year as much, but the next 5 years is quantum networks. I think the proliferation of fiber and what quantum networks can potentially do with fiber being pushed farther out into all these different areas, as far as the speeds and then as far as security, is maybe the next new cool thing. Because blockchain, let's face it, blockchain has failed as far as having an actual business application outside of the currencies. No one's figured out a way to really use blockchain in business as far as I've ever seen. But I think quantum networks is maybe that next thing after blockchain to say, what is the next, what if that really goes, and could that change the world? And I think with the fiber that all this money is going to put in the ground, there's a real opportunity for it to spread beyond just a couple of communities like Chicago and Chattanooga, have some experiments going, but I think it could get way bigger.
What I'm really excited about is seeing the satellite rollouts enabling some of the third world countries. We've talked about the U.S. government and enabling rural communities, and that's absolutely important. But I think even more so is what we can do for the good of people who literally have trouble paying for food, and enable them to have access to technology, to medicine, to better themselves from an educational standpoint, and so forth. So that's progressing. There certainly are some leaders in the industry, and I think that's going to become much more real over the next probably 2 years. For something no one's talking about, I can't compete with quantum computing. I'm going to go in the exact opposite direction and very low tech. I've attended several different security conferences this year, government-led, and pick your favorite three-letter acronym. They were the ones doing all of this from a cybersecurity standpoint. And there's a common theme that I've really picked up on, which basically is that users are idiots. So, Nick, you may want to edit that just a little bit in the final product. But really, the MGM attack was because somebody phished a user over the phone in that case. I think user education is something that nobody wants to talk about, nobody wants to go through. None of us on this call want to go through another seminar on how to make a long password, but that's really becoming one of the weakest links. And guess what? AI really knows how to exploit that. So I think that's a whole topic for the next year or so.
I think the thing I'm most excited about is the when we talk about BEAD programming specifically. I think you look at some of the previous federal subsidy and why it skinned its knees or failed in some way. It was all handled at the federal level. What's different about BEAD is the states now have autonomy, and you're starting to see certain states where no big carriers were awarded any grant money whatsoever. Rather, the blue collar ISPs, WISPs that are in the rural communities who know how to get it done are being awarded these funds. So when I look at the BEAD funding and the autonomy that the states are being given to just get the job done and achieve the mission, I'm super excited about that for 2024. And I hope to see the funding roll out in 2024. We'll see. But I'm most excited about that. What I would say is the things we need to talk about more is how are we going to employ a workforce to get this job done with all of this BEAD funding? I think you need to have educational courses at high schools or colleges. We have trade schools for utilities and AC and heat and gas and everything. We've got trade schools for that, but we don't have a trade school for broadband installers, tower climbers, things like that. We have small industry pockets, but we don't have curriculum, and I think we as a country need that. Nobody's talking about that now. Well, some people are, but we need to talk more about that. And what's the plan? How are we going to do that? Because if we don't have people digging the trenches, climbing the towers, we're not going to deploy all this. You can throw as much money at it as you want, but we're not going to be able to get the job done if there's no manpower out there.